Hello, and welcome to Season 6 of the Sims 3 Volition Hunger Games. This season is a really interesting season. It's the gender swap season. So what I did was I sent out an email to people that were in the past seasons 1 through 5 who filled out their own character sheets and asked them if they were interested in being in a gender swap season as volunteers. And in the Create a Sim, there's a button that you press and you can just swap genders like that. So I ended up having 11 people who are interested, including me. And so I took their old Sims, pressed the button. For a few of them, I edited, like, if their facial like between the nose and the mouth was like 5 inches apart, I went ahead and squeezed that in a bit. So, but most of them are actually pretty natural. And so this is a character introduction video, and I'm going to tell you about each of the characters. For this season, we also actually went a little bit more in depth than we did the other seasons, and they all kind of have backstories, and they're all very interesting people, as you will discover. So let's get started. For our first sim, we have Erica Montano. She's based off of Eric Montano. This is what she looks like. So in just a minute, I will read Erica's backstory. Now I'll do the traits afterwards. I'll start with reading her story. So Erica grew up in a rough and tumble childhood, bouncing between foster homes and juvenile detention facilities. Eventually, she joined a gang that recognized her prowess and her penchant for violence. Erica won't take any disrespect and is ready to fight. Sims beware. So, yeah, this is Erica. And so that's her backstory. And her traits are, she's a diva. Diva Sims are amazing. And don't you forget it. When they're good, they're great. And when they're bad, they're better. The rules were, since Erica is based off of Eric Montano, he had to keep 2 of his original traits. I believe maybe that was dramatic, maybe diva, one of the two. One of those two. I don't remember which one, and then lucky. Okay, so dramatic is, I think Eric was dramatic. Anyways, they just have really cool animations, and they are always like, I don't know, just dramatic, you know? She's hot-headed. Their hot-headed Sims are quick to anger. Broken household items, conversations gone awry, or even the slightest negative mood will send them into a boiling rage. So she's going to be very angry a lot, and hopefully it's going to be amazing. She's lucky, so she's more likely to survive things, or good things are going to happen to her. That's a pretty positive trait to have. And she's mean-spirited, which this is our first mean-spirited sim in the Hunger Games, so I'm pretty excited about that. I'm actually really excited about multiple of these sims because they're all really interesting. They're all characters. So anyways, mean-spirited sims love to fight, mostly because they never lose in a brawl. They take satisfaction with every new enemy made and dream of new ways to be nasty to others. So Erica is quite a little fireball girl here. She's just gonna cause fights and be angry and kick butt, and I'm excited to see that because we haven't really had a sim like that yet. So go Erica. And for our next sim, this is Christy Dubois, based off of Chris Dubois, or not really based off of him, but originally Chris Dubois turned into a new character completely. So here's Christy's backstory. Christy is what happens. No, I started in the middle. Starting from the beginning. Christy never mentally grew up. Stuck forever, acting like a child. She is constantly hyper, unable to stand in one place for long, always looking for the next best friend. There are no enemies or neutral ground in her mind, only her future best friend. Her lack of awareness and perception leaves her unable to realize when someone doesn't like her or is put off by her behavior. They're just as excited to get to know her better. Christy is what happens when you try to use alchemy and don't know what you're doing. Both an accident and failed experiment. Rather than making apple pie, it was a person. Though given the result, she might not be as far removed. She might appear to be an adult, but a childlike mind and insanity make her unpredictable. Her only goal is to have as much fun as possible with as many people as possible. If it entertains her, then she's happy, and will try to share that with anyone around. So, her stories actually link to a few other Sims story in the future. So remember that she's a failed science experiment. Her traits are childish, which is a really fun one. I don't think we've had this one yet in Hunger Games. They like to play with children's toys and they act childish and they need to be constantly entertained. Just pretty much the perfect trait for Christy here. So I'm excited to see this one. She's excitable. She gets excited about everything. And she gets really satisfied when good things happen. She's really friendly, so she's great at keeping friends and making friends. She's insane, so this is a fun one. Insane Sims respond to events in life unpredictably. They say what they want, do what they don't want, and wear what they want, and it doesn't even make sense to anyone. I don't think we've had an Insane Sim yet. These are always fun. She's a night owl, so she likes to stay up late, and she's going to get a buff when it's late night. So, yeah, this is Christy. The next sim here is Jasmine Monks, based off of I keep saying that. The girl version gone crazy with a whole new story of Jeremy Monks. I'm really excited about Jasmine. I think she's going to be pretty crazy and fun. So this is what she looks like. She's pretty fantastic. Here's her backstory. Jasmine is a white trash super skank, a sim with the sole intention of getting preggers and living off the government. If you need a little bit more kind of something to compare her to, think about Joy Turner from My Name is Earl. That is Jasmine Monks, or Jasmine Monks, that's her name. Anyways, so for her traits, she is flirty. She's always looking for romance. That will certainly help her in her lifelong goal of getting preggers. She's grumpy, so this sim is not easy to get along with. She's not easygoing. She's very grumpy, and she's difficult. She's insane, like Christy, so she's gonna do what she wants, wear what she wants, and it's not gonna make any sense, but she doesn't really care, so that makes sense for her. And she's irresistible. I mean, come on, look at her. Isn't this irresistible? But, she is apparently quite charming. And her dates often get more than they asked for, which I find completely believable. And she's going to socialize really well with them. She also loves the cold, so she's going to enjoy the chilly weather, and she can stay out in it longer. So, this is Jasmine. Quite the lady. On to the next sim. We have another fantastic sim, Che Manchap. I think like all the Sims this season are fantastic. But Che is very special here. For Che's backstory. Che Manchap did not choose to live in the forest chose him. If people knew him, which they don't, they would describe Che as a mountain man hermit and a jack of all outdoor trades. He is a hard worker. He wanders the backcountry of North America's great mountain ranges alone, a fur trader during the winter months, lumberjack during the summer months, and a fisherman year-round. Che is a man of little words. He does not like small talk or social conventions, but he is loyal to individuals that know him. He is outrageously strong and adventurous and can save your life in the wild. He does not complicate his life with technology. He lives off the grid. If Che Manchap were to punch you in the face, you'd have to fight off the urge to thank him. Quite the man. Most definitely the manliest man of all the men this season, or of all the girls who are pretending who gender swap themselves. I think I skipped saying it. This is Chelsea Chapman. Gender swapped into a guy, given a alter ego sort of thing. So, Che Manchap. And, okay, so for his traits, he's adventurous. He likes traveling and exploring. He's an angler, so he's going to be better at catching fish than anyone, which goes perfectly with him. He's a gatherer. He can pick things up and plant them and catch them. I don't think it's really going to help him much during the Hunger Games, but maybe. And it seems like a trait he'd have. He's handy. He's never going to get electrocuted. He's like the best tinkerer when it comes to repairing things, and he's just pretty much super handy. And he loves the outdoors. So whenever he's in the outdoors, he's gonna be super, super happy. So, originally this was going to be an indoor season, but later on I decided to change that for specific reasons. But anyways, but so he's lucky because it's now an outdoor season. So lucky you, Che. Lucky you. So yeah, this is Che Manchap. This sim here is Jimmy Campbell, based off of Jenny Campbell. Well, I mean, once again, not really based off of, just gender swap. This was Jenny, now it's Jimmy Campbell. Also, he's been called GQ Jimmy, so I might call him GQ Jimmy during the Hunger Games, just because, I don't know, I think it goes well. GQ Jimmy. So here's Jimmy's story. Jimmy is from old money family. No, I'm going to restart this. Jimmy is from an old money family from New Hampshire. He fully embraces the state motto of live free or die. Jimmy is an avid racehorse owner and finally had gotten his prize stallion, Arnold Horse and Nager, into the Alabama Stakes, raced at Saratoga Racecourse in New York. Unfortunately, both the New York Mafia and the Irish Mafia from Boston both had a lot of money riding on who would win. When the Irish Mafia came to Jimmy and demanded that he throw the race so that their juiced-up horse Italian Stallion would win, Jimmy refused. Arnold Horse and Nager won with ease, but both the New York Mafia and the Irish Mafia lost a lot of money. Jimmy had to pay them back, so he told the Irish Mafia that his old friend Henry Morgan would pay them, while he told the New York Mafia that Faucina Foley of the Foswells would foot their bill. Neither friend came through, possibly because Jimmy forgot to tell them. Now all three are in the Hunger Games, and only Jimmy knows the reason why. At least he has his burly lover Che and the majestic Arnold Horse and Nager to keep him company. So, that's quite the backstory. Two of those characters that were mentioned, Henry Morgan and Faucina Foley, will be mentioned. And you just met Che. So yes, you'll learn more about relationships more. I'll re-go over that at the end of all these introductions, but a little preview right there. So Jimmy, GQ Jimmy. He's an animal lover. He loves all animals, which is fantastic because he has a horse. His horse that was thrown in here with him. He is athletic, so he's going to be really good at activities. He's going to push himself longer and harder than other people, which, if you've seen other seasons, actually sounds like it could really come in handy. GQ Jimmy is evil. He he takes great delight in the misfortune of others, and he prefers to live a life as far away from goodness as possible. He's quite a mischievous man. Sounds like he gets himself into trouble quite a bit. But yeah, so the evil trait's fun. He's a heavy sleeper, so he's going to sleep through any situation, no matter how loud or alarming. And he loves the outdoors. So maybe that's how he and Che really bonded, you know? They both love the outdoors an awful lot. So, yeah, like I said, that's going to be good this season. So, this is fashionable GQ Jimmy. Now that I have introduced GQ Jimmy, I'm going to introduce his pet horse, who is also in the season, Arnold Horse and Nager. This is what Arnold looks like. He's a very fancy thoroughbred, the best of the best. His traits are that he is brave. So that's pretty cool, having a brave horse in the Hunger Games. I think you have to have a brave horse if you're going to have the Hunger Games. He's also fast. Fast horses are the speed demons of the animal kingdom. They love to gallop and have a natural talent for racing, but they need plenty of exercise to stay satisfied. I mean, I think it's only fitting that he be fast if he won the, I don't remember what I said he won. Did he win the Kentucky Derby? I don't know. He won some really cool race. Whatever I said before, that's what he won. And he's also a genius, so he's really good at thinking on his hooves, and he learns skills and new traits quickly and gets along well with other genius pets and Sims. I didn't do that on purpose because my Sim's a genius. I just now realized that. But hey, maybe my Sim and this horse will get along great. I don't know. Maybe. Anyways, so this is Arnold Horse and Nager. Here is another character. This is Mitchell Cronina, based off of Mitchell Cronin. or Mitch Cronin. If you watch the other seasons, you may not remember Mitch, and that's because he died right off the bat. But maybe Michelle will last longer. Maybe she will. Hopefully she will, because she's quite the character. Okay, so for Michelle's backstory. Michelle grew up in a very strict and conservative household. The wildest thing she was allowed to do is that once she turned to 13, she was allowed to stay up late enough to watch Leno, but she had to cover her ears if they said too many bad words. She simply watched the world from her window as everyone else was sneaking out and having illicit fun through their wonder years. Why didn't Michelle try to sneak out past her parents and join everyone else in their fun? Well, her father wasn't called the Dutch Batman for nothing. Then college happened. She left the state and waved goodbye and opened the door to a new chapter in her life. She discovered a magical substance called alcohol that helped make memories go away and enable adventures. She found other fun chemicals as well that did any number of things, such as slowing down time or turning unattractive people into incredibly attractive people. Why, there was a chemical for just about every event or mood that struck her. Michelle also got to try lots of new things as well. They were awfully exciting in a closeted girl. Beer pong, streaking, bags, hazing, and of course woohooing. She loved them all, especially woohooing. Why, she'd woohoo all day long if she could. She'd woohoo by herself, she'd woohoo in groups, she'd woohoo at the movies, and she'd woohoo in the classroom. After class, of course, with the professor. She got a B+. The professor was a jerk. Michelle was certainly making up for lost time in college and was living 18 years of life in 4, but those 4 years were up awfully quick. Somehow she managed to graduate in 4 years, though through some combination of luck, bribery, illicit dealings, more luck, and a bit of genuine intelligence, Michelle graduated with a degree in leisure studies. Now it was time to find a job and become an adult. What did that mean? Settle down? Get married? Have kids? Michelle would retch if you mentioned that stuff to her. She only just started the party. She didn't want it to stop. But she did have bills to get to pay, and a degree, so she did get a job. Now I know what you're thinking, and while she did love to woohoo an awful lot, she did have standards, somehow. So she became a bartender. She got to work with alcohol and flirt and get paid for it. What wasn't to love? So now, it's 6 years after college, and she's 27. She hasn't changed. Her college friends did all those adult things and have crazy things like careers, houses, kids, and cats. Michelle doesn't want any of those things, especially kids. So there she is, 27, living life like she's 19 during sorority rush. And now she's in the Hunger Games, because YOLO! So yeah, that is the crazy story of Michelle. And she's pretty fantastic. So for her traits, she's a diva, of course, because Michelle couldn't be anything else other than a diva. Diva Sims are amazing, and don't you forget it. When they're good, they're great, and when they're bad, they're better. She's also flirty, of course. She's constantly looking for romance, and she's quite often successful. She has a good sense of humor. She's going to tell the best jokes, never fall flat on them to entertain. And she is also, of course, inappropriate. She talks about the wrong thing at the wrong time. She never dresses properly. She doesn't think to apologize. She's just kind of inappropriate. And she's also a party animal. She loves to parties, and she likes it when people party with her. And she's great at partying, and everybody's going to love her parties because she's so great at it. So, this is Michelle, and she is quite the character. This sim right here is Faucina Foley. She is quite the hipster, if you couldn't tell already. So for Faucina Foley's, okay, so here's her story. Faucina Foley was born into the Foley family. With unlimited money and an overbearing family, she naturally decided that becoming a hipster was the best way to rebel. She read a lot of books and learned to do street art. With unlimited PBR and knowledge of bands you have never heard of, Faucina is ready to take on the Hunger Games. So, the Foley family is old money. If you haven't heard of them, well then, I don't know where you've been anyways. So Faucina is avant-garde. She knows what's art and what's not, and she doesn't mind letting others know. It's tough to please the avant-garde type. But don't let that fool you, because she's not really a snob. She's a good sim. She goes out of her way to help friends and family in need, and she's charitable with her money, but not the Foswell money. So actually, that's kind of a lie. She doesn't really want to give up the Foswell money. I mean, I'm sure she'd help someone, but not with her money. I don't actually. She shouldn't be good. I don't know. Yeah. No, she should be good. I don't know. I don't know what's up with that. She's supposed to want to give her money, but she actually is good. Anyways, that was confusing because I'm confusing. Anyways, so she's a bookworm. She has a passion for reading that surpasses other desires. She's also really good at writing. Like, she is a master of writing skills. She's like an amazing writer. Yay, we finally have a Brave Sim! So, we never get Brave Sims. And Brave Sims have the ability to put out fires and protect people around them. And every time there's a fire in the Sims Hunger Games, all the Sims are like, oh my gosh, fire! Oh my gosh! And they just stand around it freaking out. She will go and put it out. Because she's going to be amazing. So, yay, our first Brave Sim. I wouldn't be surprised if she wins just because she has the Brave trait. She also has the slob trait. So she doesn't like to clean up, and she doesn't mind filth and stuff like that. So she's just kind of messy, you know, just kind of like, whatever. You know, I personally bet she's a slob because she's always had maids to take care of everything for her. I mean, being a Foswell, she doesn't clean up her own stuff. That's what the servants are for, right? So, and the good thing about being a slob is, which I discovered, I don't remember, a few seasons ago, was that if there are plates that are dirty after someone's eaten off it, she can just come up and lick it and get her hunger, like, all the way full. So this Sim's, like, not likely to go hungry unless I just, like, stick out apples or something. So, I mean, that's a pretty nice trait. Anyways, this is Faucina Foswell. Oh, I'm not sure if I ever said it, but she is based off of, or the Sim that we gender swapped her from was Jason Foss. Or Jason Foswell. Or Justin Foss, whatever you want to call him. Anyways, this is Faucina Foswell. For this sim, we have Zavina Porter, based off of, or gender swapped from, Xavian Porter. Zavina Porter is not to be mistaken with Zavina Porter, because Zavina Porter is good and Zavina is evil. You can tell the difference because Zavina wears scarves. So, just so you know, if you ever see this person, I think she exists in real life somewhere out there. I've heard talk of her before the gender swap. I don't know, but I think she exists somewhere out there in the real life. Anyways, so Zavina's backstory. Zavina grew up in Old England and fancies herself a high-class lady. Though well-respected and generally liked, she is secretly plotting her acquaintance's downfall underneath the smiles. Little did she know, everyone else already knew this, but continued to put up with her because she wasn't actually that threatening. The rumor goes that sometime late into her childhood, Zavina's demeanor suddenly changed after she came across a red scarf that is said to be possessed by an ancient demon of envy. That, or she just grew into being stuck up naturally and bought a red scarf at some point. The world may never know. So, that is Zavina. And, this is her. So, yeah, this is what she looks like. And she's got Xavian's hair still. For her traits, she is ambitious. She dreams big and she wants to be rewarded by her, life wishes. I think this might hurt her for work, maybe, since she won't have a job, but I could be wrong. She's evil. She loves the dark. She takes delight in the misfortune of others. And she doesn't like good things. So that's going to be fun. Maybe she and GQ Jimmy will get along well. She's friendly, so she's going to like being around other Sims and making friends. Even though she's evil, you can be both. She's also quite proper. Proper etiquette has quite become a thing of the past. Luckily, proper Sims still remember the old ways and conduct themselves by a code of honor, or at least a code of nice manners. I think that's a pretty fantastic trait for her, like an absolutely perfect trait for her. So that's really exciting. She's also socially awkward. Socially awkward Sims try to fit in, but sometimes they say the wrong thing at the wrong time. It's not easy being socially awkward, but sure is awkward. So that's a fun one. Too. So, This is Zavina Porter, and expect great things from her. Hopefully she won't die. Oh, this is another one. If you were watching the past seasons and you didn't, you're like, oh, who's Avian? Well, number one, he's probably someone you work with. But number two, he just died first. However, he will be back in the first Dead season, so you'll get to know him in the future better. His sim better. Anyways, on to the next sim. So, this sim is Henry Morgan. This is the sim that is gender swapped from me and is nothing like me, but is a character that I made. So, anyways, he looks kind of feminine, actually, I think. I don't know. Anyways, so my story's a bit long, but that's because it's combined with, like, 4 or 5 other Sims stories from this Hunger Games. So, here it goes. Henry Morgan was a genius, born into new money. Before his birth, his famous geneticist parents had invented the cow plant. From birth, Henry was destined for great things. By the age of 13, Henry was traveling to England to attend college. College was too easy, so Henry spent a lot of time working on experiments in a lab. A few years later, he graduated, and he got a job in a nearby secret laboratory. There he met Zavina Porter, also a brilliant scientist. She was the first person he'd ever met that had intelligence to rival his own. They quickly became romantically involved. It was at that time that Henry was working on building a super soldier from a genetically modified cow plant. Zavina, being an evil scientist, decided to sabotage Henry's experiment, despite her affection for him. She just couldn't resist the temptation. The result was Christy Dubois, a botched experiment. Henry, of course, forgave Zavina because she was a soulmate. One evening, Zavina and Henry were sequencing their DNA and running comparisons for fun when they made a discovery. They were cousins. Henry was shocked and horrified. He didn't know what to do. He ran from the building to his home, got in his personal plane to America, and never went back to England. Zavina tried to contact him a few times, but it was too awkward for him to even pick up the phone, so they never technically ended their relationship. Once Henry was settled in New Hampshire, he dove right into the local science community. Work, work, work. Henry wasn't one to waste any of the waking moments with any worldly pleasures anymore. He met Faucina and became fast friends. And more. Of course, Faucina Fastwell's family couldn't find out. Henry came from new money. They were old money. Henry and Faucina's secret relations mostly consisted of playing nerdy games that nobody else had heard of, because she was a hipster, reading and dissecting books, and being in bed by 9:30 p.m. They tried that kissing thing, but ultimately they preferred talking about the stock market. One evening, Faucina and Henry decided to go out for coffee, hoping that it wouldn't get back to Faucina Foswell's parents. They were going out into public together, being adventurous. They'd read about it in a relationship book. Lo and behold, they ran into Faucina's friend, Mitchell there. Michelle there. She was recovering a bit after some hard partying and getting some coffee in her for another round. She was everything Faucina wasn't. Extroverted, loud, bubbly, flirty. The 3 of them hung out and it was awkward. Faucina and Henry talked about the symbolism behind the main protagonists in their newest book. Michelle was texting. Faucina got a call and had to run off to give GQ Jimmy Campbell a hand, leaving Henry and Michelle all alone at the coffee shop. Something about Michelle drew Henry to her. She was everything he wasn't, and boy, it was refreshing. He knew he should go home. Why, it was nearly 9 p.m. already, and he'd miss his bedtime. But at the influence of Michelle, he threw the caution to the wind and stayed out and went with her to something called a club. They tried this thing called dancing, and later he tried something else called drinking. Henry had such a good time with Michelle that their relationship became a fairly common fling. He rationalized it in his head in any number of ways. Mainly, it cleared his mind for better science. He wasn't getting this type of attention from Faucina, so he needed to get it somewhere. He'd eventually stop, be an honest man, and it would be fine. Yet, there he was, a couple nights every month, in a relationship with Michelle. Such scandal. So that is the story of Henry, and he's tied to a few different people. Henry is a couch potato. He really likes watching TV and playing video games and just kind of being chill. He's also excitable. He gets really excited about things, mostly science stuff, really. But whatever, really. He just gets pretty excited about life. He's a genius. He's a brilliant logical thinker. He's a master of chess. He's brilliant when it comes to science, just like the smartest sim ever. He's handy. He's really good at repairing things. He never fails. He can't be electrocuted. He builds stuff all the time. He's just very good with technology in general. He's a little bit of a snob though, because he was born into privilege, you know. He is hard to impress, and he loves hearing about himself. He never turns down a compliment. Um, he dreams of owning the finest things, and what else did it say? And he likes being associated with the highest echelon of neighborhood sims. That's why he hangs out probably with Faucina Foley and GQ Jimmy Campbell so much. Of course, he does like Michelle, and she isn't necessarily from money, but he's trying something new. So, yes, this is Henry Morgan. This bro sim right here is Ashton Jerome. This is what he looks like. I personally think he's kind of adorable, but, I mean, he's pretty strong. He is buff, and he's got his tribal tattoo, and he's fit, and he's pretty cool. Okay, so here is Ashton Jerome's story. Oh yeah, Ashton Jerome is the gender swap version of Ashley Jerome. So, here is Ashton's story. Oh yeah, Ashton is connected to Henry Morgan, and anyways, whatever. Okay, Ashton used to be a nerd, and he was very close friends with Henry Morgan. Sick of being picked on, he decided to bulk it up in the gym and attempt to infiltrate the cool kids. Here he discovered his love of beer, partying, and that swole feeling after a heavy lifting session. With something to prove to the world, Ashton always parties the hardest. Despite his manly bro exterior, though, Ashton cares deeply about the environment and always sticks up after to clean up after any keggers. Or rather, he just wakes up on the scene after having passed out from the night before. There are definitely some unresolved feelings between Ashton and Henry, leading to a little animosity in their interactions. Ashton feels a little bad about this, but he quickly forgets after a quick round of beer pong. So yeah, this is Ashton Jerome. And, yeah, he's a pretty nice guy. I like him. So, anyways, for his traits, he's eco-friendly. Eco-friendly sims prefer a lifestyle of energy conservation, recycling, and sustainable eating. So that's going to be pretty fun, I think. He's a kleptomaniac. He accidentally ends up with things owned by others. He often permanently borrows items from work, school, or even their neighborhood homes. He actually won't steal from other sims, so this may not help him, but that's a pretty interesting trait for him. He's a party animal. I feel like he's going to get along with some of the other sims, like Michelle, who love to party. He's rebellious. He takes special pride in putting it to the man, causing trouble. He's just kind of rebellious, you know? He's also a social butterfly. He isn't happy unless he's socializing, and he does just about anything he can to be the center of attention. And he's pretty much a good guy, I think. Anyways, so this is the bro, Ashton Jerome. This sim right here is Elijahzelly. He is the gender swap of Elijahzelly. I think he's a pretty good looking sim. So I'm going to read his backstory. Elijah has always felt drawn to the ocean. He spent his summers in high school working shifts scooping ice cream to save up the cash to ditch those boring cornfields and move to the coast. Now he lives just a few blocks from the beach, and every moment he's free of the clutches of his job, he spends hunting down the perfect wave. He works as a barista at the local all-vegan coffee shop and patisserie, indulges in vices, herbal in nature, and volunteers on the weekends for a beach cleanup crew. While he's always thought his one true love was his surfboard, real romance caught him by surprise one Sunday morning when he was towing a tour of the local beach with his cleanup crew. There he ran into Ashton, who was recovering from a killer beach party the night before, and sparks flew. Their romance has been going strong for about 3 months now, and they even have their own private fist bump they've developed. So yeah, that's a fun story. And this is Elijah. He has some really cool outfits. If I have enough time at the end of this video, I'm going to show off the outfits. If I don't, I may not. We might just see them during the season. I think these stories have made this run a little long. Anyways, yay, another brave sim. So Faucina, I think was the other one. isn't our only brave sim. We might have 2 sims that are putting out fires, which is really exciting to me because people are always burning the fires and they just stand around screaming. He's eco-friendly, so he's going to get along with Ashton in that. He likes a lifestyle of energy conservation, recycling, and sustainable eating. He's friendly. He's going to be great at making friends and keeping relationships. He loves to swim. These sims are like fish in the sea and gain a special joy of being in the water. So that's a fun one. I like that trait a lot. He's also a party animal, like Ashton and Michelle. Party animals love to party, and others love to party with them. When a party animal hosts a party, everyone comes and has a great time. Woo! So, yeah. So he's a party animal, and that's pretty cool. So, yes. This beefy man is Elijahzelly. Okay, so I'm not really going to have time to get into, all that stuff about their outfits because I'm running out of time, but I'm going to do alliances, and this time around I allowed people to choose romances, alliances, and enemies. So we will start with Henry Morgan. Okay, so Henry Morgan chose as his alliance, he decided to split it up between his 3 ladies. A little bit here to Faucina, a little bit here to Zavina, a little bit here to Michelle. So, yeah. He just added a little bit to each of them. He is, his girlfriend is Faucina. However, he is romantically involved with Zavina and Michelle. Zavina because he never quite broke it off. And he did choose Ashton as his enemy because Ashton ditched him. They were both nerds together, and then Ashton kind of like grew up and went to go become kind of a bro, and Henry didn't really like that. He's kind of a snob. He doesn't have many friends, and Ashton just ditched him. So he's kind of holding on to that. So Ashton's going to be his enemy. So that's what's up with them, even though Ashton doesn't really feel the same way. If they had both felt the same way, it would be completely full, but because just Henry feels it, it's only halfway. So that is Henry Morgan. For Ashton, he's next. His alliance is GQ Jimmy Campbell. So they're friends, and his enemy he chose was Erica. And Erica actually chose him. Well, Erica chose everyone a little bit. So, anyways, I made them enemies. You can have as many enemies as you want, so I just give you a full half whenever I do that. And you can have as many as you want. Anyways, so I made them enemies. Normally, you're just disliked, like Henry Morgan and him just dislike each other, but they are mortal enemies. So yeah. Oh yeah, and his romance is Elijah. However, since they didn't choose each other as an alliance, they start off with 0 relationship. But Elijah's his bromance. So on to Faucina. Faucina Foswell. Where am I going? Okay. So her alliance she chose was Henry Morgan. So that's why they're a little bit past half because I 1/3 chose her. Her enemies are Jimmy. She doesn't like Jimmy. I don't really remember why, but she doesn't like Jimmy. It's probably because Jimmy's always asking her for money and stuff, and she's like, seriously, Jimmy? No. So that's probably why she doesn't like Jimmy. I don't know, though. So yeah, that's it for her alliances. For Elijah, he chose Che Manchap to be his alliance. Che Manchap also chose him to be the alliance. That's why they're best friends. For enemies, he chose Michelle. So Michelle and Elijah are enemies. And for a romance, he chose Ashton, but because they didn't choose each other, they're kind of 0 relationship, but he's his bromance. Jimmy Campbell, GQ Jimmy Campbell. His alliance is Che Manchap. So, and he's also his bromance. So, they've got a half relationship. And so that's cool. The enemies is Christy. Because GQ Jimmy doesn't get along with childish people. So yeah, he declared her he dislikes her greatly. I suppose they're not enemies because she doesn't feel the same way yet. But, I mean, she does because it makes you. But anyways, so that's the way that is. Okay, so on to Michelle. Michelle. Her alliance is Faucina Foss. She chose Faucina Foss because all the other girls were kind of like either tough or just kind of skanky. Faucina Foss is kind of like the nice girl, you know? She felt like maybe she could have her as her friend and then she could just kind of like, she still get all the attention. Faucina Foss isn't going to steal the attention from her like any of the other girls. They might. But Faucina Foss, she'll take backstage. At least that's the way Michelle feels. So, enemies, she chose Zavina to be her enemy because she tried to hook up with Zavina and Zavina turned her down. And so she's kind of enemies with Zavina already, which might really get worse if if Zavina catches on that Henry's in a relationship with Michelle, then Zavina will be ticked. And she's in a romance with Henry. Right there. On to the next one. Zavina. Zavina chose her alliance to be Faucina as well. So Faucina actually has a lot of alliances. And her romance is with Henry, just right there. She doesn't have any enemies. I mean, other than the ones that choose her. Erica Montano is interesting. Erica is like, I don't want any alliances because she doesn't deal with people, you know? And she wanted everybody be her enemy. And so since you can have as many enemies as you want, I made her half enemies with everybody except for Ashton, who wanted to be her enemy as well. They were full enemies. Or actually, I suppose she just really dislikes everybody. So yeah, that's the way that works out. Jasmine Monks. She has a fake alliance with GQ Jimmy. She didn't really know who she wanted to be an alliance with, but she figured GQ Jimmy has money, so she's gonna like fake suck up to him and try to be his buddy. Then for enemies, she chose Michelle because she said there's only room for one slut here. So she's enemies with Michelle. Oh, my game is being slow. I can't show you. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep going, I guess. Michelle. She doesn't have a romance because nobody would romance her because she's scary because all she wants is a baby. Okay. For his alliance, Che chose Elijah, and for his enemy, he chose Christy, right down here. So he's enemies with her. And then his romance, like I said before, is Jimmy. So, and because Jimmy chose him, they're actually halfway up. So that's it for Che Manchap. And then for Christy Dubois, she wanted her alliances to be evenly split among everyone, so she only gets a little bit of sliver with everybody in the relationship-wise. She doesn't want any enemies and no romances, but she does have some enemies because people wanted to be her enemy. So she actually, I think, might have the most enemies of anyone. Poor little Christy Dubois. But, yeah, so these are the Sims for the Volition Hunger Games Season 6 Gender Swap. I think it's going to be pretty interesting. Thanks for watching the video.